There we go again. How's it going, everybody? Jim Adkins here from Adkins Results Coaching, live on YouTube after a long hiatus on here. We can explain that later on, but today I want to talk to you about setting your thermostat or self-sabotage, or this is what I deserve, which means instant karma, and the cycle that repeats itself over and over and over in your life. And I'll try to be as brief as I can, but this is a big subject, and it pertains to me. And generally, when something starts radiating this big in my life, and I share it, it has a tendency to touch people who are also going through it. So please allow me to share with you this portion of what's going on. And if it helps you, please let me know. And if there's anything else I can do for you, let me know. And of course, just like always, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, give it a like, help the channel grow. We're going to see if we can't get this thing really off the ground this year with your help. Okay, so let's get right into it. I have friends, clients, students, lots of people who come to me for help, advice, lessons, whatever it is. And as an empath or an old soul, and I'm going to post this on your site there, guys, I have a tendency to really feel what's taking place in the circle that I allow in my life. And within that circle, there tends to be a lot of emotional change in both directions, depending on where you're at in your life. So let me try and clarify what we're going to talk about right now. In life, some of us find that we circle back to old habits, or no matter how hard we try to elevate ourselves, we find ourselves living within a certain means or a certain level of accomplishment. Or I think that's pretty easy to understand, right? You push to break through a barrier, and even in some cases, generational barriers. Well, we won't go into details of who they are, but let's just say I have experienced helping people who have for generations been on welfare generation, and it's just how their family accepted life, and paradigms were set, and nobody really tried to break that paradigm until a couple of generations. And then when those generations try or put a real effort into it, some of them find success only to drop back down to that level again. Now, up and down, listen, I'm not judging elevated, you're better. That's not what this is about. I'm talking about level of standards that they set for themselves, okay? And people always push up. I don't know anybody that's trying to lower their standards. Got me? Okay. So as they push up to elevate their standards, and some of them make it, they allow certain behaviors to pull them back down. I am not a generational welfare person, but I am one of those people who can attest to that action. There are many times in my life I have elevated my status. I have raised my standards beyond where I ever thought they could possibly be, approached and passed those marks several times. And within each instance, there has always been a certain amount of self-sabotage. And this is in hindsight and reflection of my own personal life. I'm sharing it with you because I think some of you might be going through some of the same things. So let me explain without a lot of details. How about this? Tony Robbins tells a story, and I love Tony. He's been, one of my he was the first coach I ever came across that reached me in such a way that I still use his stuff today. I trained with him, his company online, and so on. So let's talk about Tony's story, and I'll try and summarize it briefly. I'm not going to get it exactly right, so if you want to hear it, please go to Tony's site and look it up. But Tony tells a story about his youth out of high school when he first became really famous, when he started really working on Tony Robbins Institute, right? I believe so. He was called, I believe he said, he was written up in all kinds of business journals as the boy wonder. And he was very young. And if I remember it right, he was making something like $10,000 a month, which is a great deal of money for some, not a great deal of money compared to what he's doing now, but $10,000 a month is a lot. He was living in a nice place, and he went from that. I mean, after he had elevated himself to that level of success, within a short time, and I think it was within a year, he had found himself back in a poverty level where he was hiding from his bill collector. He's living in a one-room apartment, and he wasn't answering his phone, and he had fired everybody. And what he said was, we all have these thermostats, our paradigms, and we set those thermostats. And if you think of the analogy of a thermostat, if you set it at a certain temperature and the room becomes colder or hotter than that temperature, the thermostat will kick on to bring that back where you're used to it, where you're comfortable, where you're most likely to recognize this is where I belong. Same thing's true in your life. There's an internal thermostat, and you've got to learn to find out what it might be and how to shift those paradigms. And we'll get into that. But your thermostat, once you get going and you get heating up and you get to moving in the direction you want to move, if you're not paying attention, it will kick on and it will pull you back to where you're comfortable. Now, when I say comfortable, maybe we're not comfortable. I'm not comfortable there. And I'll tell you right now, I found myself there last week. When I say last week, it's been coming on for a year. I've slowly watched the pot boiling and refused to jump out of it. Why? Self-worth, instant karma, whatever you want to call it. I deal with my own issues, and these are the ones that I find regularly popping back up. There are actions that we take within our lives where we can tell ourselves not perfect truths. Eating healthy is a big thing. Exercising is a big thing. It saved my life. Thinking proper thoughts, surrounding yourself with the right kind of people. What you do, and I hate to say it, for a living, what you choose to do with your time, it affects you. And I had a big health thing a few years ago, and I found that everything you consume becomes you. You become what you consume. And I'm talking about physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, auditory, visually, the whole gambit, what you consume, not just what you eat, what you see, what you think, what you hear, the whole works, right? Well, I elevated myself beyond that point, eliminated some things and some people from my life that just, and not out of spite or anger, just didn't serve my life's purpose in a positive manner. Doesn't mean I had to be mean about it. It's just I didn't need that stuff or those people. And bless their heart, it wasn't anything on them, right? It's just we're not in the same place. Well, I've allowed some of those people back in. I've allowed some of the situations, particularly with what I do with my time and how I choose to spend it, whether it's singing, teaching, helping people, exercising, or whatever I do with my time, I've allowed some stressful influences back in. Time for them to go. Gotta go. And once you get to that point, it's a wonderful feeling to start changing that thermostat. Now, we got to be careful because once we get comfortable in a new temperature, so to speak, I choose to visit the other temperatures every once in a while. It can drag you back down to where you used to be. All right, so I think I've spent enough time on here, almost 10 minutes. I'm going to get out of here, but let me rephrase what we were talking about today, then I'll go live on the Facebook channel here and try and get you to understand this too. Being grateful for what you have doesn't mean you're being grateful for things you don't deserve. Don't ever find yourself, and I don't want to tell you what to do, but try not to find yourself saying, this is more than I deserve. When you're grateful for something, recognize that you're grateful because it matches where you are. It is what you are. It is what you become. It is where you're at. Be grateful for the recognition of the efforts that you've put in. Does that make sense? The people in your life will show up differently The situations in your life were so different. So that's one thing. Recognizing, let's see. Okay, so deserving and karma. Some people are saying, self karma. I've got students who fully believe that they don't deserve some of the wonderful things in their life because they've done so many bad things in the past, or a couple of bad things in the past. Let it go. Let it go. It's not, and if it is, serve your karma and move on. It's not a lifelong thing, right? If that's what you believe, that's it. I think that's we got it, and whether I share this or not is up to the sound quality. Last time we did this, we've got some major issues with the recording, um, and we'll see what it sounds like right now. Um, Other than that, have a wonderful day. I'll see you again this week. Sometime we'll talk about some more important things, and anything you want to talk about, just let me know. Put a comment in there, and we'll talk later. Until then, Honey Mark, get set, grow. Yeah, end it.